I want to turn my attention now to a very, very important ordinance which was announced yesterday by the central government. You know that we've often kept our focus sharply on the control of pollution and the kind of bad air that we breathe, which is why it's extremely necessary to look at this ordinance a little more closely. So here's what's happened. An ordinance to bring in a commission to tackle air pollution in NCR was announced by the central government. It will have an 18-member committee. The members have to yet be announced. And this committee will have wide-ranging powers. They will in fact have the power to control pollution in NCR and adjoining regions. That means effectively their jurisdiction goes up to Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Haryana, the surrounding states. So there's a bit of a political angle which will come in there as well. The commission can do things like shut down or regulate water and electricity if there is an offending company or an offending entity. They can take suo motu action against entities that are violating pollution norms and are expected to replace a number of bodies supposed to be tracking pollution right now. Those that violate their norms will have to pay up to 1 crore rupees in fines and can even face 5 years of imprisonment. So teeth have been given to this committee as per this ordinance. Remember, it's an ordinance. It will have to be passed in Parliament in another 6 months, but it's a very, very crucial beginning. Will it work? Is the big question. And to answer that, I'm joined now by Chandra Bhushan, environmentalist and CEO of iFOREST. Sanjay Upadhyay, advocate in Supreme Court of India, is also joining us on this show. Welcome to both of you. Mr. Bhushan, let me get your take first on the ordinance and the announcement of this committee.
It's a good beginning, simply because what we had was not working. We have seen for the past few years that pollution problem is not abating. In fact, at the beginning of winter, all this hue and cry happens. And then as we enter March, things subsides and then it is business as usual. We need something which will work round the year. We need something which has the power of executive behind it. We need something which deals with the regional air pollution issue. And therefore, I think it is a good beginning by the government. We will have to make it work. At the end of the day, anything that you put in place, everyone will have to come together and make it work. That's what the current situation is.
You know, this is also coming at a time when the Supreme Court is seized of the matter, because the pollution in NCR is an annual event. This time coupled with COVID, it could spell real disaster. And they had nominated their own committee with a retired judge at the head of it. Then the government has come in and said that, hey, listen, wait, we have this committee in place and, you know, we have an ordinance. Mr. Sanjay Upadhyay, what would be the legalese of this? Because this committee is envisioned as of now, from the information we have, with wide-ranging powers, including jurisdiction on neighboring states. So how would it work? So if a farmer is burning stubble in Punjab and you know, it's causing pollution in NCR, can this committee fine that farmer up to 1 crore rupees or a 5-year imprisonment?
Well, technically, yes, but let me just go back to the earlier question you asked, Chandra Bhushan. It's a welcome move, of course. There's a focused one-stop solution that is being designed. But I think the problem is in the design itself. And I think, I'm sure Chandra will agree with me, that it is a very bureaucratic, heavy body. But the main issue is where it is pitched. It is pitched below the National Green Tribunal. And I think that's where the problem starts, because if you look at the legalese, under the Air or Water Act, you have something called the appellate authority. And this is almost equivalent to the appellate authority, because every order of that commission will be appealable in the National Green Tribunal. So I think structurally there is a problem, because if you want to make a splash by a huge commission like this, it has to be pitched much higher. So the effectiveness of such a commission will be watered down given the current membership of NGT itself, which is so understaffed and under, functional. So I think that's a problem. But in terms of jurisdiction, the question you asked later, I think it has not just the National Capital Region, but also what is called as the adjoining area. So it is going to have a larger landscape And there's a focused attempt to that. So in terms of the initiative, it's a grand initiative, but the way it is pitched is where perhaps the problem will begin. And I have other points, but these are my opening remarks.
Mr. Bhushan, I want to quickly come to the point of coordination. All of these years, whenever we've discussed this Delhi pollution problem, the first thing and the first question that comes is that there's no coordination between center and state. There are blame games. Everyone says it's someone else's problem. Do you think the committee will solve that very basic issue? At least there will be one body which can coordinate with center, state, and all the various stakeholders.
Yes, I think the very idea of setting up this commission is that you need representation of different states to come on the commission. From that perspective, I think it is a little bit bureaucratic heavy because of design itself. The design is to bring different state actors in the commission, as well as to ensure that there is coordination. Because as you rightly said, the experience has been that come winter, every agency passes order, whether it is State Pollution Control Board or Department of Environment or High Court or Supreme Court or NGT, or for that matter, PMO also has a committee. So there was no unified effort in solving the problem. I am not saying that it is going to be a silver bullet. Don't get me wrong. What I am saying is what we had was not working because of multiple actors and lack of coordination. And I think this is the idea of this commission is that, and if we can make it work, is that we can bring everyone on the table together. And if there is an issue, we can resolve it. And there is a unified action that can take place. And from that perspective, I think this is a good idea. We must try it and see how it is going to function.
Yeah, I don't have much time, so I will request you to keep it brief, Mr. Upadhyay. But what I wanted to ask you is, again, about jurisdiction. Technically, this committee has jurisdiction, but think of the number of toes they will be stepping on. You have a chief minister in Delhi who has his own set of announcements every year. You have a body like the EPCA, you have the NGT, you have industry, you have chief ministers of various states, and then you have the central government. How is this committee even going to function and resolve all of these, individual viewpoints?
Quickly, the EPCA has been disbanded, repealed by this particular legislation, which is going to come in 6 months, hopefully. So EPCA doesn't exist anymore after this ordinance. What exists, of course, is the bureaucratic coordination that you're talking about. That certainly is an issue because you're also ousting in some ways the jurisdiction of various high courts. Because today, if you go to a high court of any particular state, they'll say, go back to the commission, there's a specialist unit now. So a lot of jurisdiction is going to get sort of concentrated in this particular commission. So you are going to step onto toes of the constitutional courts, for example, although constitutional courts have the right to take on any of these issues. And you're also going to step on the NGT itself, because NGT has been passing a slew of orders. Now everybody's going to say, please go back to this commission. So, well, I hope I'm as hopeful like Chandra that, this is going to work. But I have a serious doubt in terms of its design.
I just agree with the point that Sanjay made about the High Court. High Court has the original jurisdiction. There is a legal issue there that can you bypass High Court and say that all the appeal will go to NGT? I think that's something that we need to consider. Also, NGT is weak.
Yeah.
And, at least from access to justice perspective, this whole idea of High Court has to be looked at carefully.
Okay. It's a beginning. And a concerted, unified effort was the ask of everyone when it comes to this issue. We'll have to see first how this committee is staffed, how quickly, and do they really have the powers to implement what has been promised. So watch this space.